This show is sponsored by We Are Change Fresno. Welcome to We Are Change Fresno with your hosts, Stuart Webb and Sam Cheney, fighting the international bankers' one world government scientific dictatorship. Be the change you want to see in the world. And now, here's your hosts.
Welcome to We Are Change Fresno on 1680 AM. Thank you for joining us. This is our first 2-hour broadcast, and we'd just like to thank Woody for producing that intro for us. We love it, and we hope you love it too.
Thank you. You're too kind.
It gets us pumped up to fight some tyranny, because that's what we do every week.
You sound pretty pumped up.
I'm pumped,
but
man.
you look mellow, though, man. That scares me, man. You're all pumped up, and you're like mellow.
I'm pumped, but I'm calm.
You're as mellow as Justin.
Folks, we're going to get into some news, and we also have a special guest, Dane Wigington, coming on our second hour, calling into the show. We're going to do a little interview with him, talk about some geoengineering issues that we clearly are seeing here in California, the drought. If you haven't noticed, we have no water here. But anyway, we're going to get into some news to start this first hour, and so, yeah. We hope you'll stick around and for both hours and enjoy the show. Sam, what do we got?
Stuart, before I get into the news, I want to say I appreciate the feedback from the fans out there. We have one fan officially, and we heard from him this week, and that was good. That was nice.
Thank you, Michael.
I appreciate the feedback. So give us some more feedback if you're listening and let us know how we're doing. But I wanted to say, before I start with the news, Stuart, why we do this show, why I do this show is to raise the public's consciousness about reality and what's going on.
This show was born out of necessity.
It was, Woody, because there's a mass deception going on out there fed to us by the mainstream media, who we've covered on the show last week, is owned by 6 corporations.
Right.
And it's going to continue to consolidate until it's just one. It already is one at this point. I mean, they're all reading off the same script. So we need you as the public to disengage with that mind control program and start engaging with alternatives, or because that's the only way we're going to turn it around. It's obvious, it's plain as day for anybody that has eyes to see that things are going bad at a rapid pace, and it's continuing to increase because we're living through a business plan, an agenda of these elite international bankers who are creating all this chaos to usher in a new age. And so if the public's aware of this, then they're not going to be able to complete this task, and we can have a prosperous, peaceful world rather than the chaos that we see throughout the world. So that's the main reason for this broadcast, is self-preservation, because I don't want to live in this world of chaos created to bring in one world government.
Real talk.
Exactly. And what Sam means by raising the public awareness is that we have to start thinking about these problems if we're going to change, if we're going to fix the problems, okay? To end slavery, you had to have discussions about it for decades to say, hey, this isn't right. It didn't just happen overnight. So that's what we're trying to do. That's how we fix problems, is change people's perceptions and their viewpoints and persuade them to lean towards liberty.
We need to have a public debate about a lot of serious issues. Number one, Federal Reserve. Instead of following the same lame narrative from the mainstream, who you'll never hear talk about it. But enough about that. We're doing the show to raise the consciousness level, and that's how we're going to overcome this evil. Stuart, our government's lying to us. The trust is at an all-time low. We saw Ferguson. I mean, they rolled out the police state in everybody's face. Here's a bunch of lies that the government's told us recently. The TSA, it came out that their naked body scanners are bogus, bunk. People can smuggle weapons, whatever they want through there. They can upload and hack the machines, and it came out that they're bunk. Coincidentally, it was a payoff to Michael Chertoff, the former director of Department of Homeland Security. They emit radiation. The cancer levels for the TSA agents that stand next to them are off the charts. And that's a major big lie. They have removed them from most airports, but they're still in a lot of courthouses, a lot of police stations. Just be aware out there, public, that these things are causing cancer. They don't even stop the they create more of a security risk than they stop, and it's a giant fraud perpetrated by Michael Chertoff, who was the #1 shareholder in the company that produced them. And so that's a giant lie that the government said these naked body scanners are going to keep you safe, and they do nothing of the sort. They give you cancer is what they do.
Yeah, and if a terrorist really wanted to blow up a building, they could just, I don't know, go into a private jet hangar, just hijack one of the private jets, because they don't go through security, okay? These people that have private jets, that's what I would do if I was a criminal, a terrorist. I mean, it's a fraud. It's just to treat normal, lower class, middle class citizens like we're slaves, okay? Treat us how to get patted down and let our children be patted down. That's what it is. It's all a fraud. No, they've never caught a terrorist, okay? And we know that there's radiation in these scanners, and then they don't even do what they're supposed to do. I mean, maybe if they actually stopped people from bringing weapons through them, it would at least prove that there's a reason for them to be there. That's already been proven false. So it's
slave training for the American public.
Exactly.
And we're going to get into that about what they're doing at Major League Baseball games later. But some more about the government lies, and people want to say, oh, they're just incompetent. And maybe some of them are, the ones that go along with it, but the ones that are driving the ship know exactly what they're doing. The White House cybersecurity chief recently bragged that he has no knowledge of cybersecurity. The EPA is using 20-year-old data to make regulations which decrease employment and push people off the land. That's part of Agenda 21. The government's transparency website, usaspending.gov, is wrong more than 90% of the time. In Iraq, both sides of the conflict are armed with weapons supplied by the United States government. The Patent Office recently was exposed that they're paying employees to stay home and not even do their work, and that's why we can't see any change and innovation in this country, because they have a stack of over 600,000 patents sitting on the shelf not being processed. So the government is paying people to telecommute, and they're just not even working at getting paid $80,000 plus benefits on the taxpayer's dime. So it's very disturbing, Stuart.
Yeah, this is what happens when we have the country with the world reserve currency just printing as much as they want. Oh, we want to pay a bureaucrat? Well, I'll just print the money, because we don't have any money. As you saw, maybe you've seen my ice bucket challenge to Congress. America's bank accounts are empty, okay? So, and also we've been funding, like in Iraq, what was the one about Iraq in that list? It was that we've
both sides. I mean, they're fighting a war with American weapons,
both sides, and Ron Paul congressional record, even before in the 80s, the 70s, and into the 90s, he was talking about this to Congress on record about how, hey, we need to stop funding both sides. That's not neutrality, and it also makes a lot of people angry. So we funded Osama bin Laden. Hey, conservatives, yeah, we actually funded the freedom fighters in Afghanistan, and we also funded Iraq against Iran in the 80s, giving Saddam the chemical weapons and funding. So. And we also funded the building of roads in Russia as well. So, and that's Ron Paul congressional record. Go check it. So anyway, we need to stop funding both sides of conflicts. We have no money, and you can see what happens is that we become this giant decaying bureaucracy of an empire.
Yeah, even if you want the Arabs to kill each other, the chickens are going to come home to roost. It's called blowback, and it's not a good policy for stabilization in the world. We're following the New World Order policy of order out of chaos, and somehow they think that this is not going to come home because they're not even here, the ones orchestrating it. It's going to come home to the American people eventually. Another thing that's hitting us every day is the war on drugs. And we know from alcohol prohibition that making a substance illegal does not work. When liquor was banned, violent crime increased dramatically, and we see the same thing with making drugs illegal. Portugal has legalized drugs and decriminalized them for over a decade now, and drug use rates are way down, and violent crime behind drugs is way down. So right there is a model that America can follow to end the war on drugs and end the violent crime behind drugs and all the non-violent offenders who are just drug addicts in our prisons. Because we have the highest prison population in the world for a free country. I mean, that's I don't see how you can reconcile those two.
Yeah, and if you take the money out of drugs, crime will go down immediately. Okay, because that's the whole problem is that the government spends so much money incarcerating these people that are drug offenders, even just for selling drugs. I know cocaine's not great, but the government used to ship it in and probably still does. They protect the cartels that bring it in across the border. Okay, we know that. And there's obviously money there, okay? These Mexican drug cartels make a lot of money. They control Mexico, and they're starting to control parts of the United States. If you legalize drugs here, they don't make any money, okay? So there's no incentive, and also it takes the violence out of it and the glorification of being this drug dealer that makes a lot of money. It just takes it all away. And then people, if they want to use drugs, which it's in their rights to do so, they can do that and peacefully. Victimless crime needs to discontinue in the country that we're supposed to be Bill of Rights and Constitution here, okay? Not let's arrest people that haven't even committed a crime. City ordinances, I don't even understand that. I mean, is that a law or what?
Prohibition creates a black market, and then they run the racket, and we already know this. I mean, it's
and then
obvious.
There's money in it for the government to make money because they've made it illegal, so they can have the monopoly on the drug dealers.
They're making it on both ends, yeah. Stuart, the NSA spying, mass surveillance suppresses dissent and breeds conformity. And so it's unconstitutional, and it's more than intrusive into our private lives. And so are we willing as Americans to go ahead and commit 3 felonies a day? Because on average, that's what it's been said. Americans commit 3 felonies on average a day without even knowing it because of all the laws in this country. So are you willing to say, I don't care if the NSA spies on me, and one day an indictment handed down to you from this illegal spying because you said the wrong thing that the government doesn't like? That's exactly the reason why you should care, because that day is coming soon unless we stop this illegal wiretapping that the NSA is doing.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. If anyone is okay with NSA spying on them and everyone else, well, let me personally go set up a camera in your house so I can make sure you're not doing anything wrong. Because remember, you have nothing to hide, right? I mean, do you? You don't own guns, do you, conservatives? Yeah, the conservatives that are for police state aren't for owning weapons because they openly want to track gun owners. That's the number one enemy of the United States government. Folks, we got to take a quick break. Here's a word from our sponsor, the Thrifty Nickel.
We all know that a natural disaster, EMP attack, and martial law are a real possibility. Prepare before the crisis because FEMA can't and won't keep you safe. Tops Military Supply. Veterans serving veterans, their families, and the community. Visit us at 605 West Shaw, Suite A, Clovis, California, or call us at 559-298-6001.
Listen up, Fresno. Are you tired of boring local news coverage? Then log on to FresnoForward.com, the Central Valley's #1 source for independent, local, and alternative news and views. FresnoForward.com is updated daily, bringing you stories on government corruption, local activism, Fresno culture, and so much more. Did I mention FresnoForward.com has no ads or signups required? FresnoForward.com. You'll love it.
Do you love supporting local businesses? Do you want to help them succeed? So do we. The Thrifty Nickel Want Ads is a family-owned business that has been a big part of the local community for over 30 years. Our goal is not only to produce a paper that is not only successful, but enduring. We are looking for experienced outside sales representatives to help grow and expand the Central Valley's favorite classified paper while creating successful marketing campaigns that will increase business for their clients. If you care about better working relationships with local businesses, then we want to hear from you. 50% commission of every new contract acquired. If interested, contact Art at thriftynickelwantads.com or call 559-472-7182.
Folks, we're back going into our second segment. We appreciate our sponsors and we appreciate our listeners. Sam, what do we got on second
Moving on to more of the government lies, Stuart. My grandfather, my father didn't fight in foreign wars for fascism, okay? And I don't think any of our troops overseas now are fighting for fascism, but that's exactly what we have here at home. And we're losing the moral high ground at a rapid pace because the government and the mainstream media continue to lie to get us into these wars. As we covered before on this show, we've been at war in Iraq through 4 administrations now. And there's more than enough evidence that in 2003, the evidence that was given under false pretenses by Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld was a lie. There was no weapons of mass destruction. They did not throw any babies out of incubators. And so they're trying to get us into more wars over in Iraq. We're already bombing them, supposedly. If you watch the mainstream media, it's utterly ridiculous. They're blowing up, a Toyota truck and some shack, and we're taking out ISIS, who we also funded, created, and command. But that's besides the point. Even if they were the enemy, what they're showing us on the news is a joke, and it's insulting to anybody with half a brain's intelligence. And this whole experts out of the UK say that the Foley beheading was staged and fake too. And so they just continue to lie to us to try to get under the American skin, rally the patriotism, just like they did after 9/11, which was a false flag attack, and get us to go into more of these wars. We are a war-weary nation. We've had enough. It's immoral at this point.
Well, we were attacked on 9/11, whether you believe it was an inside job or not. We were in all these countries, pissing them off and having sanctions on them. Our sanctions on Iraq in the 90s killed 1 million people.
That is an act of war, the sanctions.
Yeah, the sanction. So we've been in an undeclared war, like Sam said, for basically 4 decades with Iraq. And, funding both sides here and there, funding radicals and then funding the governments, taking out dictators, putting them in. I mean, we are just involved, and it's all at our expense. And then, as Ron Paul says, hey, to Congress, why is this a surprise that we got attacked? I mean, our actions, our foreign policy is already an act of war. I mean, we've been in these countries, okay? And they haven't attacked us. So just invading Iraq was immoral. And I'm sorry, it was immoral. And we need to admit that if we're going to change things in this country and save it, which is going to be tough, but we have to admit that we were wrong. They never attacked us. And we haven't even officially declared war on them. So in order for us to win the war, we have to declare war, and there has to be a clear goal. And also, a country needs to attack us first. Al-Qaeda, all these radical Islamists, they're a ghost enemy. It's not even a country. How do you win that war? And the answer, I'm sorry, it can't be we're just going to continue to fight them as long as it takes, because that's not an answer. Because that means that we're just going to be in perpetual war forever. And I don't accept that, not in America.
It's right out of 1984.
Exactly.
The mind control that they're using, the perpetual war on terror, is a fraud. The U.S. Navy slogan is a global force for good.
Global.
And so I didn't vote to be the policeman of the world. I don't think that we have any right to be the policeman of the world when America is collapsing. Most Americans don't think so either. 70% say the military should focus on defending our country, not trying to help and police the world.
Yeah. We need to get out of war. Just like Sam said last show, no war, no war, no war. We just need to look, we can't afford it. Okay. We can't afford to be paying bureaucrats $80,000 to sit at home and watch TV. We can't hardly afford anything. And as we continue to not being able to afford everything, people that are actually working can't afford things. So more people in this country are sitting at home and receiving some sort of government assistance than the people are actually breaking their backs, going to work every single day and trying to produce something and to create a better life for their families. And the rest of the country is just living off the government. And that's going to end, guys. That is going to end. And we can't afford this military budget. We can't afford, it's a big government program. That's what war is. And no one benefits but the special interests. Ron Paul was talking about this the last 3 decades, people. He's been discussing this with Congress openly. Hey, guys, we need to not go to invade countries and send our troops there to die or to be put in harm's way when the countries haven't attacked us. And there's no goal. And there's no time frame. I mean, Clint, we were supposed to have troops in and out of Iraq, within 18 months, and that went on for years with Clinton, years and years and years past the deadline. They don't care, okay? They're going to use our troops and our influence as America being we were the global superpower, not anymore, but they're using us to basically just make money. I mean, that's the facts, okay? The special interests are making money off these wars, and we are not. Military are getting their benefits cut. How is that possible? And how are we continuing to support this? It's mind control.
They're using depleted uranium. They're not even giving.
They hate the veterans.
They hate them. They're the number one threat because they know they have the training and the skills and the leadership ability to rally the American people. They're making them fire depleted uranium weapons. They're not giving them the health care when they get back home. We all know about the VA scandal. The government has sold these men out, and it's a damn shame. And us standing, I mean, we can't even get our one Marine that's in Mexico out.
Yeah.
That should be a top priority for our military. Our border's wide open, but they want us in all these foreign wars. In the foreign wars, bring our military home. Stuart, another big lie that the government tells all Americans is everyone gets equal treatment in America. Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal. Legal equality has been a principle, a point of pride in the United States, but in practice, it hasn't been really so much realized. History shows us that there's been great injustices in this country, like slavery, limiting the women's right to vote, to Tuskegee syphilis experiments, McCarthyism, internment camps, nixing the votes for nonviolent drug offenders, illegal surveillance of American citizens, Muslims in particular, racially biased enforcement of drug laws, the crack cocaine sentencing, assassination of a 16-year-old kid with a drone ordered by President Obama.
Yep, unconstitutional.
The IRS targeting conservative and progressive political groups for their political ideology. And so the differences of race, sex, religion, political convictions, and more have historically been used as an excuse to violate some Americans' right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this is continuing today unless we stand up against it and tell the government no more.
The NDAA is illegal. The Patriot Act is illegal. And we need to stop. We need to get over this fact that we can go overseas and just, we can murder people legally, I guess. But then when we expect no one to want to attack us, no one to want to come and do harm to us. I mean, people don't even understand our foreign policy the last 50 years. I mean, we have just been funding both sides of conflicts going into unconstitutional wars all over the globe for the last 50, basically since World War II ended. Okay, and it's not right, and we need to admit it. If we're going to change it, we need to start admitting it and talking about it, okay? So it's undisputed. I mean, we funded both sides. We funded Lebanon and Israel when they were fighting back in the, I think, 80s. And we would fund Israel, which we still do today, and our government just gave them, $250 million, for taxpayers' money, by the way. And we fund Israel in the 80s, and then they blow up Lebanon, and then we give financial aid, foreign aid to Lebanon. Okay, that is not even not only is it a waste of our money, it doesn't make any sense, and it's not neutral. It's not being neutral. Okay, that is being involved in a war. I mean, it's the Hegelian dialectic. I mean, look it up. It's just problem, reaction, solution, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. It's ridiculous.
As Smedley Butler said, war is a racket. Moving on here, Stuart, to Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act. The federal government spent $1.7 billion on healthcare.gov over the last 5 years. And we see some interesting names on the list of contractors. Over 60 contracts were issued to build a website that doesn't even work, that steals people's data and sends it to four winds of the earth. The military-industrial complex, like we continue to go over the show, is eating America. Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin are the big names on that list who are being paid enormous amounts of money to create a website that does not work.
$1 billion?
1.7 billion.
Almost $2 billion. Whoa. I mean, that's just That's just a
for
you
a
know,
That's a lot of
website.
money, man.
For a website. I wonder how many websites we could create that are better than the Obamacare website with $2 billion. We could probably create 1 million websites that are better and still stay within budget. And they would probably actually work. But yeah, Obamacare is a fraud. We all know that. And
The website especially.
what was it? John McAfee was saying how many security problems there are with that website. And he said he could fix it. But you know, of course, they don't want it to be fixed. They want us to buy into the screw job.
Part of the
lie.
collapse of the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. Oh, you want that affordable care? Yeah. Well, you just got to wait till we get that website fixed that you're paying for currently. $1.7 billion for. It's ridiculous.
Obamacare continues to destroy jobs. The Federal Reserve, who I don't know if we could trust, maybe we can trust some of their data, but they come out and say that that Obamacare business survey revealed 18.2% of employers are cutting jobs and employees as a result of Obamacare.
Yep. And then they'll go work at the Dollar Tree, probably.
The Dollar Tree. Hey, I shop there.
Or the Dollar General or Family Dollar.
I resent that.
Over 1/3 of Obamacare customers will owe the IRS money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes on and on with the fraud. They make you capitulate to their system and then turn around and fine you because you don't have your paperwork in order. But you can opt out, choose the religious exemption or a philosophical exemption, and don't go along with the system. That's a solution if you don't agree with Obamacare, because it's pretty obvious at this point that it is not serving the people's best interests. It's cutting access to care and quality to care.
Yeah. What do we got next? Let's see. We had a win for the Second Amendment, I believe, right? Firearmspolicy.org reported
Yeah.
that
Well, in Roseville, California, a court there ruled that the California's 10-day waiting period for gun purchases was ruled unconstitutional and a violation of the Second Amendment. So at least there's some judges out there that are still ruling with the Constitution, who are not completely corrupt and want America disarmed for the collapse.
yeah, you would think that the judges would want their right to bear arms. I mean, look, this 10-day waiting period is unbelievable. When I want to go buy a product, unless
It's a
I'm buying
cooling
it
off period, Stuart.
unless I'm buying off online. I mean, yeah, when I buy a product, I want it. Okay, when I go to a gun shop, why in America do I have to wait 10 days? They can just instantly check my background, make sure I'm not a felon, even though I don't even agree with that. They can check everything instantly, okay? That's how these other states are just, over the counter, you're a citizen, you're a resident, boom, here's a gun. Yeah, it's called the right to bear arms. It's our Second Amendment. Shouldn't be infringed. And yes, it's unconstitutional, the 10-day wait period. I'm sorry, it is, okay? And it's just unbelievable, okay? Are we in America? Or, I mean, when are we going to decide whether, the Bill of Rights and Constitution actually matter and whether we're going to actually abide by them? So I really appreciate this judge actually taking a stand because... I'm sorry, like Richard Mack said, one of the sheriff of Oath Keepers, one of the, I think it was Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, the head of it, Richard Mack, he said all gun control laws are unconstitutional. And that is true. Okay, look, governments can own nuclear weapons. They want to invade countries that don't have them, that want to get them. But we can't have a handgun in the country, in the United States of America. Okay, when it says it right there, Second Amendment, we have the right to bear arms. You should be able to bear arms and defend yourself. People act like people are blowing stuff up regardless and shooting people regardless of laws. You can't legislate morality, okay? If I want to have a tank or a rocket launcher, I'm sorry. If I actually want to pay for something, I mean, yeah, it's expensive. But if I really want to have a rocket launcher in my safe, I should be able to have it. I mean, if I use it and commit a crime, then yeah. If it's not just, yes, I'm going to go to jail for the rest of my life. Okay, but governments have nuclear weapons, and we see how corrupt our government is. President makes and breaks laws. So how are they okay? So our president, do you really trust our president with nuclear weapons? I mean, really? And I mean, even at this point, he's purging the military. I mean, who knows? I mean, they have the monopoly of force, and that's unconstitutional. I'm sorry. We have the militarization of police. But yet we can't, we have to wait 10 days to get a handgun. It's unbelievable. It's illegal. Yes, it's unconstitutional. We're going to continue to hammer that. Judges should continue to rule this stuff unconstitutional and give the Department of Justice these orders saying, hey, yeah, you got to change this now. Okay, that's how we change this country and restore this country, because it's not right. And these judges, just like what was her name in Texas, she got pulled over. She was a judge, and since she's a Democrat and she just wanted to act like she was above the law, now the governor is actually indicted on criminal charges. It's unbelievable. Go look at that story, okay? So basically, corrupt people in this system don't want to abide by the law, but want you to be a slave, okay? And we got to change our thinking, people, okay? If we want to live as a slave, or do we want to live free? We got to make that decision.
Stuart, Bill Gates doesn't want us to live free. He wants us dead. He's a eugenicist. He's famous for saying, if we kill one old person, we can hire 10 teachers. But he goes around under the mask of being a great philanthropist. And so he's such a giver to society. He's giving $1 million to the state of Washington for their anti-gun initiative. Initiative 594 campaign, and that's on top of the $60,000 that he's already given that we reported on last week. So he really hates your guts, Free America, because he's giving $1 million to this initiative.
And all these rich billionaires like Warren Buffett, they always talk about income inequality, but yet they still have billions of dollars. They are still the richest people on the planet. If they really cared, they would just actually donate all their money to charity. Since they don't need it anymore, I mean, they don't need those billions. But remember, Bill Gates is still, I think, the richest person on the planet. But yet he wants to raise taxes on us, and he wants us to have crappy education. I mean, he just wants our kids to have Common Core and have the private school, and he doesn't want us to own guns, but he can have an armored redoubt, and he can, just be exempt from all the laws. He wants Obamacare for you, private, healthcare for himself. And he is an elite globalist that does not care about you. And just because he's non-threatening does not mean he's evil, okay? The people that want to act tough and those people that are upfront about the evil, you don't have to worry about those people, like Alex Jones said. But it's the people that act like they're doing good, but behind the scenes are doing ruthless, terrible, evil things, like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. Those are the people you got to watch out for, and I truly believe that they are deceptive snakes that will take advantage of you.
They funnel all the profits from their corporations, which are monopolies, into their tax-free foundations,
yes. Yep.
and then do their social engineering with all that tax-free money, which should be going into the American public's infrastructure instead of social engineering us, because we are not your slaves, Bill Gates and other tech executives that are funding this garbage. We are not your slaves, and we are not going to stand by and let you social engineer America any longer.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
More social engineering here, Stuart. Twitter hate speech database. Twitter is now, the federal government is spending nearly $1 million to create an online database that will track misinformation and hate speech. And who decides what is hate speech? I mean, this is right out of 1984, mind control. If you say something that they don't like, they label you as hate speech. And oh yeah, by the way, We Are Change has been labeled a hate group by the Southern Poverty Lie Center. And they're utter and complete fraud. Okay? And so take a look at our work. Be the judge for yourself. Denounce these frauds, Southern Poverty Law Center, the federal government, because who makes them God and can decide what is hate speech?
I declare hate speech being Beyonce and Michelle Obama saying that we have to ban bossy, because I like the word bossy. And it makes me feel really bad that I feel that they're being hateful saying that we need to ban that word. Okay? So the thing, anything can be viewed as hate speech, okay? People, it's selective. It's all selective. Oh, we're going to be authoritarians over here and tell you what to do. But then if someone wants to speak their mind and say, hey, I don't really like you telling me what to do. No, you're just committing hate crimes, okay? And you're a radical person just for believing in the First Amendment. I mean, what a radical person. It's unbelievable. And so it's all the selective enforcement. Of course, yeah, they don't want people speaking out against this stuff. So they're going to try to monitor you through social media and Twitter and all this stuff. To assess whether you're a threat. But really, the people that are assessing the threats are really threatening everyone else, okay? Our way of life, our individuality, our right to life, our God-given rights. So I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of the authoritarians.
It's garbage, Stuart. It's mind control. We need to call them out on it and say we're not having it. More about this Obamacare here, the covered California. It pays good to be a con artist criminal, I guess,
Yes, it does.
For the director of Covered California, Peter Lee. He received nearly a $53,000 bonus in addition to his nearly $263,000 salary for this year for a system that doesn't even work, that's collapsing in front of our face. There's people all over the place. We know some personally that cannot get coverage through the system, that need surgery, they need treatment for medical conditions, and they're being denied care. The website doesn't even work. It's a complete and utter fraud. It's a failure, and this guy's getting $53,000 in bonuses to lie to the American people. So is his over $300,000 when you include bonuses and salary, we're selling out California? I guess to this criminal, it is.
I wonder, can California really, can the taxpayers really afford 53 grand to go in this guy's pocket? So they said in the article, 53 grand for his role in the overall smooth rollout of Covered California. So just for having a bureaucrat actually doing something
smooth.
Right. Yeah, doing something right, and we don't even know if that's true.
No, it's a lie.
So a bureaucrat gets on top of his salary of $250,000. He gets twice as much for a bonus as I make in a year. Okay, that is how you know we're going into a crazy period where everything will collapse, because when you have bureaucrats that absolutely do nothing, they get paid to do terrible work.
They get paid
that
to
we
screw
don't need.
you over.
Basically, exactly, and they're making more than someone who works his butt off all day and then comes and preaches about how they're stealing from the taxpayers. That's what they're doing. Okay, someone who works all day to pay for these bureaucrats to sit on their butt and do nothing of value. I mean, think about it. Let's see. You add that onto the $250,000 that he made, 53 grand. So 300 grand. We're paying a bureaucrat 300 grand for
lie to
nothing,
us, to lie
to us, and to not give us the care that we need, that we could just go buy, but instead they had to steal our money and decide what we get. That's what it is. Steal the taxpayers' money and then decide what kind of care you get, or if you even get care.
It's part of the collapse, Stuart, and our criminal government governor, Jerry Brown here, is leading the charge for the collapse. He says that if you're illegal alien, you're more than welcome in California, as we see record unemployment. And, Stuart, I don't even have words for it. It's open treason by our own governor, who's saying, go ahead and break the law and come here illegally and California has open arms for you. I don't know. There's no jobs for these people. I don't know what they're going to do to survive besides get on the welfare rolls and continue the decline of our society. But we have open arms for them here.
Yeah, Jerry Brown is a criminal. He wants to expedite the trafficking of illegal immigration into this state. And, I mean, it's just, there's no jobs. I mean, jobs are dwindling here in Fresno. I mean, and look, I'm not a fan of Kashkari, but he did do a good job on that video explaining he went homeless and recorded it for a week. And he tried to go get a job in Fresno for a week and couldn't find any work. People are barely making it here. And we're going to bring millions of people into this state and call them refugees and undocumented? Really? What other country does that? No one else. But Jerry Brown, I mean, so we're going to, he wants these people to come and just get on the road. Yeah. I mean, just come on. You can have licenses. Here's your free health care. Here's your free welfare. Here it is. There you go. Just collapsing while our legislature is committing criminal acts. 15% of them on record are now, and they're still getting paid. It's just ridiculous.
Stuart, they want to bring in this illegal alien voting block to go ahead. Yeah. I mean, they already have a monopoly on.
I know, the supermajority.
They already have a supermajority in Sacramento, but they want to bring in more to go ahead and vote Democrat. But the hypocrisy of this man Brown, our governor, is that in his first term, he did not want refugees from Vietnam, legitimate refugees. He did not want them because he knew that they're coming out of a communist system and they're more apt to vote Republican, and that's not the vote that he wants. But the people coming in now, illegal immigrants from Central America, are more apt to vote Democrat. So that's right in line with his policies of North American Union, one world government, collapse of America. And so this is exactly what he wants. He's a complete and utter hypocrite, criminal. He does not give a damn about these people. Wake up and see the facts, man.
And one more thing about this, all you potheads out there and people that are for legalizing pot, well, you should realize that Governor Jerry Brown is not for that. He's actually expressed that, we need to see what happens in Washington and Colorado before we legalize marijuana here. But yet he's just allowing illegal immigrants to just committing treason by saying, come on over, just get here as quick as you can. We'll give you everything for free. And but no, we can't legalize pot. In fact, victimless crimes don't matter, but we want to bring felons and gang members from other countries that are undocumented over here. It's no problem.
Stuart, our California state legislature has institutionalized corruption. Nearly 15% of the California Senate Democrats who are in charge have been charged or convicted of crimes.
Clowns. These guys, it's a joke. I mean, folks, Leland Yee was indicted, but yet his name still got on the ballot for Secretary of State, and 380,000 people actually voted for an indicted criminal that was trying to traffic firearms to, Islamic militants in other countries while promoting gun control. We're paying for our own enslavement, and they've convinced us that that all these politicians are just so awesome, and Darrell Steinberg is going to continue to pay them because I guess just being indicted is, there's no reason. I mean, there's no reason to expel you from the legislature. I mean, no, you just had a lapse in judgment. Just a lapse in judgment. Folks, we got to take a quick break. Here's a word from our sponsors, Tops Military Supply, the Thrifty Nickel, and Fresno Forward.
Natural disaster, EMP attack, and martial law are a real possibility. Prepare before the crisis because FEMA can't and won't keep you safe. Tops Military Supply. Veterans serving veterans, their families, and the community. Visit us at 605 West Shaw, Suite A, Clovis, California, or call us at 559-298-6001.
Listen up, Fresno. Are you tired of boring local news coverage? Then log on to FresnoForward.com, the Central Valley's #1 source for independent, local, and alternative news and views. FresnoForward.com is updated daily, bringing you stories on government corruption, local activism, Fresno culture, and so much more. Did I mention FresnoForward.com has no ads or signups required? FresnoForward.com. You will love it.
Do you love supporting local businesses? Do you want to help them succeed? So do we. The Thrifty Nickel One Ads is a family-owned business that has been a big part of the local community for over 30 years. Our goal is not only to produce a paper that is not only successful, but enduring. We are looking for experienced outside sales representatives to help grow and expand the Central Valley's favorite classified paper while creating successful marketing campaigns that will increase business for their clients. If you care about better working relationships with local businesses, then we want to hear from you. 50% commission of every new contract acquired. If interested, contact Art at thriftynickeloneads.com or call 559-472-7182.
Folks, we're back. I'm your host, Stuart Webb, along with my co-host, Sam Chaney. We're going into our last segment of the hour, and then we'll be going into our second hour with our special guest, Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org. Real excited to hear from him. Sam, what do we got on our last segment?
Stuart, we got the mainstream media is dying. 550 buyouts and layoffs are imminent at Turner Broadcasting, Headline News, and CNN. And so they're going bankrupt because all they do is continually lie to us, and people are turning it off. So that's some good news. At least the American public's finally getting out of their mainstream media haze. Maybe they're not putting their attention toward things that actually matter, but at least they're turning off the lies of the mainstream media.
Exactly. And even mainstream media has become basically celebrity news. I mean, let's be honest. And honestly, they don't even do celebrity news good. If you want real celebrity news, if you really care about it, just go to TMZ, okay? I mean, at least they admit, hey, yeah, we just care about stupid, mindless things. So, and they actually know how to do that and actually make it provocative. The mainstream media just sucks at everything. I mean, they're purposely making the content terrible and almost unwatchable for someone with a brain. Okay, it is literally plastic people talking off a teleprompter.
Reading off a script
Reading
from
off a
the
script.
Pentagon.
There's nothing original about it, nothing provocative. And you don't have to think critically, and that's what they want, okay? They want you watching Maury, Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown, Jerry Springer. I don't know. I haven't checked into these shows lately, but whenever I turn on the TV at 2 o'clock when I'm home for lunch, just to see how ridiculous it is. I mean, it hasn't changed. It's been like this for about 20 years now, I feel like. Ever since I remember watching television, being 4 or 5 years old. These shows have been going, and it's just absolutely mindless culture. And we need to just literally stop watching TV, start reading some books, keep up with your news. Even if it makes you depressed, get past it, because that's reality. Live in reality. Just try it.
Television is a tool of mind control.
Yeah. There's good television, and then there's terrible television. And there's a lot of terrible television out there.
Stuart, to the economy now, the dollar. 10 reasons why the dollar will fail. The dollar is used to perpetuate war. The dollar is used to perpetuate the welfare state. The dollar is backed by a coercive, violent monopoly. The dollar isn't backed by gold, silver, or any other finite resource. When competition like precious metals, Bitcoin, or other cryptocurrencies present themselves on the major scale, the dollar will have no chance of survival. The dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power since 1913. The dollar does not meet the demands of a fast-paced global economy. Paper money is the dirtiest thing that we touch on a daily basis, which reduces our life expectancy. The dollar can be counterfeited. The dollar creates perverse incentives that discourage financial responsibility, i.e. easy credit. The dollar is controlled by a small minority of individuals, making those individuals the most powerful people in the world, opening the opportunity for moral hazard and allowing them the potential to harm millions and millions of people with their arrogant mistakes.
Yeah, the dollar is pretty much done. We've seen all the big other economies globally move away from it, and it's going to continue to happen. And that's why our government is more dangerous now. And that's been, a lot of experts have been saying this, and a lot of big political, alternative political figures that we pay attention to that are smart people. This is the most dangerous period for these global elites because they're losing control. And honestly, I believe that with the emerging of all these other superpowers, it's going to be harder to control the narrative. You have the internet that they want to censor. They want to censor everything. But since Europe and North America are no longer the sole superpowers and they don't really control the rest of the planet anymore, when you got China, Russia, Brazil, you got big economies that don't want to play along with the dollar. And then you got the whole Middle East situation. That's going to create problems for them. So they're going to double down on their crazy activities of just launching wars and just seeing how many rights they can violate globally, basically, because these people are crazy that are in charge. Okay, we need to start realizing that, and they don't care about anyone. They accept themselves, and that they're the people that they're sworn oaths to. Like Skull and Bones members, past presidents of the United States, things like that, and candidates. So we need to be aware of this because we're going into a dangerous phase with the dollar completely losing all of its value. And it's funny, money is the dirtiest thing. What is the percentage of, it's your cell phone and money, I think, are the dirtiest things that you could touch on a daily basis without actually just putting your hand into, waste. So yeah, with the cryptocurrencies coming about, I do think that there's going to be some issues with, obviously, the globalists are going to try to control that too, but it opens the door for decentralization of banking, and they don't have a monopoly on currency. And so people are going to start getting creative, okay, because we got to survive. And yeah, it's going to be tougher for these elites to control things with all these when the dollar is not the world reserve currency anymore.
Well, America is losing its place as the number one economy, according to the World Bank. America has been the number one economy in the world since 1872, and the World Bank is predicting this year that it will be overthrown by China as the number one economy in the world. And look at the majority of the products out there are made in China. You cannot have an economy based on fraud, force, and coercion, which is what the American economy is now based on. We don't produce anything in this country anymore, not anything of any significance for global trade. We're supposed to be a service economy, that we're smarter than the rest of the world. Well, it doesn't work like that. You have to actually produce a physical good to have a stable economy and real growth, rather than the lying economic data that we get out of the federal government every quarter.
Yeah, printing money doesn't create wealth. Let's not forget that. You have to produce goods. There has to be a demand for American goods and American services, which there's not. Okay? And people don't understand how minimum wage laws just destroy all that. And also, we can't produce anything. They mandate wages, but then they don't even allow companies to really produce anything, because you got carbon tax, you got the EPA, you got government regulation, government bureaucracies. I mean, geez, what can we produce something of value? It's how are we going to get back to being a superpower, or even a country that functions correctly, when we don't even produce anything anybody wants?
Stuart, what we produce in this country now, under this massive evil system that we're suffering under, we produce 1 in 6 children with developmental disabilities in this country.
Autism is 1 in 50.
That's
right?
That's what we produce now in this country, and the mainstream media is that's America's future, your children. If you care about your children's future, you'll look into what we're saying and speak out and take action, because they are developmentally disabling the youth of America right in front of our eyes. The mainstream media is covering up a story that from a whistleblower from the CDC who said that he lied about the data from MMR vaccines causing autism in African-American male children. He blew the whistle on it, and the mainstream media will not report on this story because their number one advertiser and their number one goal is to sell us the pharmaceuticals that don't work and to brain damage us so they can more easily control us.
Yeah, and you'll see the mainstream media, when they figured out that no one believes them anymore, they'll try to push some like social media trend, like the Ice Bucket Challenge. Oh, ALS Foundation. When really, how many people, Sam, you were saying you might have met one person with Lou Gehrig's disease?
One person in my life I've met with. Have you ever met anyone, Stuart?
Never.
Woody, have you ever met anybody?
Nope.
Yeah, but we got 1 in 50 children. Okay, there's commercials about it too. I mean, but they don't really talk about that. It's an epidemic. 1 in 50 children have autism. Okay, why can't we do if we're going to do something for something, maybe we... like Ice Bucket Challenge, let's do it for something that is actually an epidemic, something that really matters. But they don't want to concentrate on that, because they'll realize, yes, that's definitely an epidemic. Then they have to investigate why there's so much autism. And then we know autism's linked to all the GMOs that we eat, the poisons, the vaccines, the poisons that we put into our body.
The chemicals that are spraying us in the air that we're going to talk about in the next hour.
Yes, and that is really what's causing...
fluoride.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that. Let's get people distracted by another issue and who knows, let's be real, guys. These charities, the money goes to pay for the administration of the nonprofit, okay, of the charity. Okay, so probably I would say at best you're looking at 20% of the money that we donated to ALS, or the people that donated, actually went to, the research and the care for people with Lou Gehrig's. And that's being generous, okay? What did you say, Sam? You used to donate to the veterans?
I used to donate to the disabled veterans, and because my father's a disabled veteran, and I feel for the veterans. They did their service regardless of how I feel about the wars. I know we have to take care of our veterans when they come back home wounded from all these wars of the empire. And so they called me every quarter to do my donation. I gave $50. And then one time I asked them, finally, after a couple years of giving, how much of this actually goes to veterans? And they said 80% of it goes to administration and 20% may go to veterans. May. And so I said, well, I would be better off giving a homeless veteran that's on the street corner holding a sign the money than I would be giving it to your charitable trust, because it's just paying off executives in the administration. It's not actually helping the veterans that need the help.
Exactly. And I remember hearing something about a documentary that came about the Better Business Bureau. It's like the chief executive of the company, makes $500,000, and they'll just they'll let companies start up that say, terrorist foundation. I mean, they don't care. It's all a big scam to get people to give them money, businesses to give them money. And yeah, they're not a nonprofit, I don't think, but it's just the same type of deal. It's all a scam. So if you really want money to go to a certain spot where you see it fit and it's going to do the most good, just go out and do the service and see that the money goes straight to the people that you want to have the money. Okay, go serve your fellow man directly. It's the best way to do charity. It's not through these nonprofits or just these screw jobs, these scam artists that basically is the Gates Foundation. I mean, that's how he stays as rich as he does, is that all his money is tax exempt because the Gates Foundation is nonprofit, and I'm on NPR and I'm non-threatening. So listen to me. It's unbelievable.
They funnel their money through their tax-free foundations, and it's to social engineers for control.
Yep.
Stuart, we're running out of time here, but the spirit of evil is upon America. They're announcing in Oklahoma City, that they're going to go ahead and hold these satanic black mass rituals to mock the Catholic Church.
Wow. What? It's selective, man. I mean, you can't even be Christian in this country without getting audited or, harassed. But, Satanism's fine. And I really have no problem with Satanism as long as Christianity's protected too. I mean, we're supposed to have the freedom under the First Amendment, freedom of religion. So I'm cool with satanic black masses as long as we're not persecuting Christians and auditing liberty groups. Remember Lois Lerner? Yeah, she lost all her emails apparently, and all the hard drives have just, I guess, gone out, and all the backup hard drives are now unavailable. And the government is literally, it's obstruction of justice. That the whole IRS scandal, she hasn't been indicted, so it's just corruption, and we're sick of it, folks. We're about to end our first hour, and we've got a great interview coming up with Dane Wigington in the second hour. So we'll see you on the second hour.
Real quick, Stuart, a big solution, which Israel has done now, removed fluoride from their water.
This show is sponsored by We Are Change Fresno. This show is sponsored by We Are Change Fresno.
Folks, we're back. This is We Are Change Fresno on 1680 AM. We're going into our second hour of the broadcast. We have a special guest, Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org. He's done a lot of great work. You can check him out on his website or just search him on Google or YouTube, and you can find a lot of his videos talking about geoengineering and what is really going on up in the skies, and it's not normal. And it's very important that we understand that we are under attack, because a lot of the problems that we have today, a lot of the health effects, the problems with the planet, ecosystem, it's because of what they are spraying on us. Sam?
Hi, Dane. How you doing?
Good, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing well. So you want to just jump right into it about the California drought? We're seeing record drought this year. They're telling us don't use water. Here in Fresno, the city of Fresno is actually fining people $500 for extra water use, as the city lets water in the parks and on their properties just run in the streets. I mean, can you talk to us a little bit about how the geoengineering is affecting the drought in California?
Yeah, Sam. And a lot of people are still well programmed to think that, one, nothing could affect the climate system, and two, that the government wouldn't do this to us. Both notions are completely wrong. The science is there to back up that conclusion completely. And in regard to the drought in California, whatever the motive, whatever the agenda, there's absolutely no question this drought is completely engineered. And I challenge anybody to examine the data. People can Google engineered drought. Just Google engineered drought, and they'll find some of the data we put forward, including NOAA maps that are astounding, maps that you don't need to know anything about meteorology to know that there's something horribly wrong with these maps. We have satellite images, which are also in these presentations, of the constant 24/7 blanket aerosol spraying, toxic metal and chemical aerosols from jet aircraft visible on the satellite images off the U.S. West Coast up the storm track, which blocks the rain, in conjunction with the HARP facilities in Alaska and elsewhere. So the bottom line is this is a 2 + 2 = 4 equation. When they aerosolize upstream from us, blocks the moisture from coming in, and that's what we have. So whatever the reasons, we can all speculate, but the fact this is engineered, Sam, absolutely, positively, no question. And go back to my disseminations from 2, 3, 4 years ago. I mean, this is the conclusion that we put out. It had to happen. It had to happen. And what people need to understand is they can shut our moisture off forever. I mean, they can keep that moisture shut off as long as they want. And so people who don't believe that, I challenge them to research what I'm saying.
So let's educate our audience a little bit more about it. Dane, who may not be familiar with the subject of geoengineering, who is spraying us?
The subject of geoengineering, there's several acronyms. There's stratospheric aerosol geoengineering, and when it comes to this, again, guys, a lot of people want to jump to the chemtrails term. I really, really encourage people, don't use that term, even though it's more descriptive. It seems a more accurate term, but use the science terms if you don't want to be marginalized. Stratospheric aerosol geoengineering, solar radiation management. That's a key term that describes these programs. SAI, stratospheric aerosol injection, which describes the intentional spraying of tiny metallic particles from jet aircraft. So all of this is about artificial cloud creation, not seeding for rain. People need to get that through their heads. Whenever people think weather modification, they think, oh, they're seeding for rain. Absolutely not the case. This is about creating artificial cloud cover, which diminishes rain overall. So, again, these guys can augment rainfall where they choose, and they can cut it off where they choose. So, in this case, again, I challenge people to look at the satellite imagery, look at the grid pattern blanket spraying off the U.S. West Coast, disrupts the storm track, blocks the moisture from coming in. It's absolutely happening. Or when storms do move across us, and this is important, if they aerosolize over those storms, and they are, that's why the skies look so featureless all the time. And even if the clouds break, you see this white canopy above, and that's the canopy of sprayed aerosols, which diminishes the precipitation, so they can, in effect, migrate the rain further east, which they're doing, which causes it to come down in a deluge further inland. So, again, the satellite mapping, the satellite imagery, and so forth, it's all there. And our goal, the purpose of our site, we don't sell anything, is to get people to investigate. That's the point. So people need to educate themselves in this situation, because it's not only disrupting our rainfall, causing our drought, it's extremely toxic. It's causing respiratory issues of epidemic levels. And these are toxic metallic particles, the primary particle, aluminum. Well, we all know aluminum is extremely hazardous for us. In fact, the list of problems it causes in the human organism is long and growing by the day. So, from every angle, guys, these programs are absolutely lethal.
Dane, we've had clear skies here now for about 5-6 days. I haven't noticed any heavy spraying where it's very obvious. So when do they decide to do this spraying?
Okay, 2 points on that. Now, other areas are being hammered with the very visible horizon-to-horizon stuff. Back east, where there's more moisture, they get much more of that. But we are seeing what you're describing, and it's being reported from a lot of areas, an effort to not be so obvious with the disbursements. But look at the skies, because typically, even if you don't see horizon-to-horizon spraying, you still see a silvery white sky, a dirty, hazy-looking sky, not blue. You have to look closely. A lot of this stuff, as they grid spray off the coast, it's blowing in on us. And people are also still, Sam, they're mistaking these small, bright trails as being a condensation trail. And it's not the case. I mean, the high, if people want to see what type of jet engine is on all commercial aircraft, all military tankers, it's a high bypass turbofan jet engine. 80% of the air that goes through that engine is non-combusted, which means that there's a 20-minute tutorial on the Geoengineering Watch homepage. I encourage people to watch it. Very, very thorough explanation at why that engine is nearly incapable of making any trail. And so it appears that as people notice what's going on in the skies, and they are definitely noticing, there's an effort to make it less noticeable. And so if we compare the summer we had here in Northern California with the previous 4 or 5 summers, much less horizon-to-horizon spraying. Well, something changed, right? I mean, that by itself should be a red flag to people. Why are we seeing less of the horizon-to-horizon trails? The skies are still silvery white, and the moisture is still blocked because offshore they're doing what they've always done. It's very visible on satellite, but the experiment is always changing. This is just a make it up as you go. They're just trying whatever they can in the skies. They're also, guys, by the way, I don't know if you know about this, they're also geoengineering in the ocean, and this is called iron fertilization, where they introduce thousands of tons of iron oxide to create an algae bloom to suck carbon out of the air. Of course, it kills that section of ocean, but they don't seem to care about that. So, again, I encourage people, listen to these science terms, Google it, investigate it. Ocean geoengineering, aerosol stratospheric geoengineering. I mean, the data's there. Or just go to our website, and we have all of it posted in more simple form. But people need to investigate.
Yeah, Dane, this is Stuart. I've noticed that there's a movement, especially here in Fresno, because we get sprayed. I mean, we've been heavily sprayed this whole entire year. People are starting to record it and saying, this is not like in one of your video presentations, you said this doesn't look like commercial traffic, and that's true. Our skies, this is not commercial traffic. So these planes, they're not going to the airport. I mean, but they're not normal patterns of flying, and they're just all over us, and it turns into haze, creating these clouds. And we've been, this whole last year, it's been difficult. Honestly, I can feel it in my health. It's difficult to breathe here in Fresno. It is difficult. And so I think people that, like you said, they're trying to now actually make it look less like they're actually spraying because people are actually catching on. So are they just spraying higher up in the air? Or are they limiting, taking up a couple weeks off and then spraying again? Is that their tactic? Because, they're just hoping people won't notice the spraying, because people are starting to notice in Fresno. There's a huge movement.
There is here in Northern California as well, and people from all ends of the fence, not just this group or that group. It's all groups. So when your skies are filthy, when the sun comes up in the morning, it's silvery white. It's not blue at all. And, again, they are definitely dispersing. You need to look really closely. The skies, if you block the sun, for example, Stuart, in the middle of the day, you can see there's a huge silvery, like an aura around it. The atmosphere is full of particulates, and I challenge people, go outside at night with a very bright light. And there's always particles in the air, but when there's aerosol spraying, people, if you shine a bright light up and you look through that light, people will be amazed at the amount of particulates coming down. It's absolutely astonishing. And this is not just dust. Again, we've done every type of test. We've tested, in fact, as this stuff settles down on the surface of ponds, we've skimmed the surface, this dust, and lab tested that. It's solid aluminum and barium. That is not a normal dust component, and especially not in a forested area of the Pacific Northwest. It's in the rain. And again, we know that historically it has not been in the rain. In fact, so much of this stuff has come down in the Shasta-Siskiyou forest area. In the last 10 years, it's changed forest floor pHs 10 to 12 times toward alkaline. So try to imagine how much metal it takes to affect that kind of a change. And in fact, so much is flowing through the waterways now that it's aquatic insect life decline. 90% insect, 90% decline in aquatic insects, terrestrial insects the same. So you'll hear people, Sam and Stuart, they'll try to defend with, well, this stuff should be in the air. Aluminum is common. It's 8% of the Earth's crust. That's true, but aluminum does not exist in the environment in free form. It's always bonded to other elements. If it was floating around in the streams in the sky, there would have never been aquatic insect life. There would never have been fish. So people need to get their facts straight and need to understand these programs are absolutely going on. And when they think the government wouldn't do this, when you have the top U.S. military stating on the record that climate changes are the greatest national security threat of all in their mind, why in the world would we think that they're not going to engage in these programs? Are they going to come ask us for our permission? Any notion that that's going to happen is a naive notion.
Yeah, and you said that, why would they do this? You ask your audience, why would they, you ask, why would they, spray us? Well, why wouldn't they? Or why wouldn't they want to control the weather? The weather, can wipe out an entire, when we saw what it did to Japan, weather is huge. If there's a tsunami, an earthquake, a hurricane, it's huge. It could devastate an entire nation. And so, I like how you said that in one of your presentations that the military can actually be at war with the country without the country even knowing. And I feel like actually that's what our society, especially here in Fresno and California, that we're basically being assaulted and we don't even know it. And that's a huge problem.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And at this point, as people are waking up to the crimes of our government, if they keep people so mired in difficulty where they don't even know where the next drink of water is coming from, then people can't really focus on the bigger picture anymore, can they, when they're being droughted out of existence? So that's all part of what's going on here, and people need to understand that. Look at the other countries the U.S. has caused a toppling of their government. Syria, Libya, Iran. All of these countries have been droughted out. In fact, you have the president and the vice president of Iran on the floor of the United Nations stating on the record that their country is being droughted out by Western climate modification programs. This is all recorded, and people can Google it and see these leaders of these countries stating this. It's business as usual for the U.S., and now it's being done to the American population.
Dane, all people have to do, because I've been doing some research trying to get ready for this interview, and I'm searching on Google Scholar, and they the geoengineering scientists openly talk about the ethics of geoengineering. And if you read some of their papers, what they're saying is that the general public is of no concern to them, really. There's some where they talk about they might need to set up a compensation program for the damage that they're causing to people. So they admit that this is bad for your health, but they seem to not care about if the public has any input into these programs whatsoever.
They don't care. They don't care. I'm already communicating with somebody on the inside. It was one of the architects of these programs. He hasn't showed enough backbone to come out yet. No matter what the risk, he should come out. But that's their attitude. In fact, one of his responses to me was, if I'm upset about some trees dying in California, that's just the way it goes, because that's a climate sacrifice zone that they feel they need to do in order to create other conditions further east. Well, what are they doing? The West is frying, and the East is getting whatever rain or more rain than they need. So these people feel they have the right to play God with the weather. They feel they have the right to choose who's breathing what, how contaminated it is, how contaminated our water is, whether we get rain or not. The arrogance and insanity that's running these programs is beyond comprehension.
Yeah, all you have to go is read some of their scientific papers that they publish, and they don't see us as human beings. They think of themselves as being on another level, and they talk about using one of their favorite ones in these meetings, which we'd like to talk to you about a little bit. Your meetings up there, but they talk about the Delphi technique, and they openly talk about that's just how they do business, is using their mind control techniques against the general public. So we can't go against what they're saying because they are the scientific elite.
Well, people need to get through their heads. People have been trained. Don't question the doctor. Don't question the PhDs.
Yeah.
The PhDs are why we are all in free fall toward total global extinction. Anybody doubts the legitimacy of what I just said, look it up. We're in the sixth great mass extinction right now. It's not off on the horizon somewhere. It's here now. Species extinction rate, as I mentioned a lot, but I want people to get that through their heads. It's 200-plus species of plant and animal lost a day. That's 10,000 times normal, because you have people, I've had even people, quote-unquote environmental people, say, oh, well, that's just normal. It's not normal to lose species at 10,000 times the normal background rate. Nothing normal about that. So, again, people have been trained to just keep going to Walmart and Costco and keep shopping and buying burgers, and in the meantime, all hell is breaking loose. The military is digging bunkers. They're called DUMBs, deep underground military bases. So they're digging in, and they're preparing for societal collapse, and it's coming. It is absolutely coming. And if we don't have soils that will allow us to grow food, waters that are drinkable, rain that doesn't fall, if they cut off our moisture, we're done. We're done, and we're breathing all this stuff, as you said, Stuart. I mean, if we keep breathing this stuff in, it's making us dumber by the day. It's affecting our cognitive function. The medical studies prove that. Alzheimer's and autism are off, and dementia off the charts. All these ailments we associate with aluminum, and it is there. It's in the air. We're breathing it. So what challenge can we face if we don't deal with this problem? That's my question.
Yeah, and I just think it's troubling to see the population, not care about these issues when no one's getting healthier. I mean, everyone, it seems, that is sick now in America. I mean, everyone. I mean, everyone's either on antibiotics or kids have autism. It's like 1 in 50. And instead of just asking simple questions and asking why are our skies filled with these chemicals, and they just say, oh, well, just go to the doctor. And like you said, we always trust the doctor too much. I mean, we think these are well-meaning guys, these PhDs. They have a lot of knowledge. They understand how to manipulate, and we just trust in them too much. And it's troubling to see the public, like you said, going to Walmart, doing the business as usual for the daily consumer, and not caring about the attacks on our health. I mean, no one is healthy in Fresno. I mean, almost no one I know is actually in good health. I mean, complete, you know what I mean? Like we were 10, 20 years ago. I mean, it's just everyone's sick.
They statistically, they are. I mean, respiratory mortality, let me give you some hard stats here. Autism first. Autism since 1975, it's gone up 10,000%. Now, that's a hard statistic. It's gone from 1 in 5,000 to 1 in 50. Respiratory mortality in the continental U.S. from 2005 to 2010, from 8th on the list to 3rd. That's a gargantuan leap. People are dying. They're absolutely dying. And this is another communication I've had with this person on the inside, that the reason they, of course, are fighting tooth and nail to keep these programs from coming to light is because the liability issue is absolutely incomprehensible. Everyone on the planet has been hurt by these programs, everyone. So they will fight exposure of these programs to the end. And what people also, to give a broader picture of why the military is engaging, it's all about their own benefit. It's not about the public good at all. It's about the perceived benefit of those in power. And they have helped to trigger, not mitigated, but helped to trigger massive methane release. It's happening now in the Laptev Sea of the Arctic. In an article 3 days ago, 400 or 500 new methane release sites have been spotted along the eastern seaboard. As they've shredded the ozone layer, more thermal energy enters the atmosphere. That heats up the ocean faster. I mean, there's other anthropogenic causes. I'm not putting it all on climate engineering, but climate engineering is making a bad situation exponentially worse. They've changed air currents. That changes ocean currents. Now warm water is being pumped into the Arctic. Now that's releasing methane from the seafloor. Methane is spewing into the atmosphere as we speak. And there's enough methane in the Arctic, in the Laptev Sea, on the seafloor, that's CH4 methane, there's enough to cause a Permian-style mass extinction at least 100 times over. Right now, we're in free fall to a totally different reality, and this is not going to happen over centuries or decades. It's here now. In the coming weeks and months, people are going to see ever more astounding changes. The reality we've known is done. It's gone. The best we can do right now is to stop these programs before they've completely destroyed Earth's life support systems. That's how serious our situation is.
I agree, and we've seen in the last year the craziest weather we've ever seen, and half the country, is dry as hell, and we're getting droughted out here, and then the rest of the country, the other half, is just having massive amounts of rainfall and the coldest weather it's ever seen, and the 100,000 cattle dying, just crazy stuff. Folks, we got to take a quick break. Dane, we'll be back for our second part of the show after the word from our sponsors.
Know that a natural disaster, EMP attack, and martial law are a real possibility. Prepare before the crisis, because FEMA can't and won't keep you safe. Tops Military Supply. Veterans serving veterans, their families, and the community. Visit us at 605 West Shaw, Suite A, Clovis, California, or call us at 559-298-6001.
Listen up, Fresno. Are you tired of boring local news coverage? Then log on to FresnoForward.com, the Central Valley's #1 source for independent, local, and alternative news and views. FresnoForward.com is updated daily, bringing you stories on government corruption, local activism, Fresno culture, and so much more. Did I mention FresnoForward.com has no ads or signups required? FresnoForward.com. You'll love it.
Do you love supporting local businesses? Do you want to help them succeed? So do we. The Thrifty Nickel One Ads is a family-owned business that has been a big part of the local community for over 30 years. Our goal is not only to produce a paper that is not only successful, but enduring. We are looking for experienced outside sales representatives to help grow and expand the Central Valley's favorite classified paper while creating successful marketing campaigns that will increase business for their clients. If you care about better working relationships with local businesses, then we want to hear from you. 50% commission of every new contract acquired. If interested, contact Art at thriftynickeloneads.com or call 559-472-7182.
Folks, we're back. We Are Change Fresno, week 12, starting our 2-hour broadcast, first week of doing that. I'm your host, Stuart Webb, along with my co-host, Sam Chaney. We have Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org on the line. Dane, talk a little bit about the dead zones that we have in the ocean. I was watching your one of your videos, seminars, and it's just seeing the chart, the map of the dead zones in the ocean. It's scary considering the plankton. I mean, the plankton aren't available for fish to eat. It's gonna cause a complete collapse of our ecosystem and the food chain. I mean, what is the cause of all these dead zones in our oceans?
Well, there's a lot of causes overall, but again, climate engineering appears to be mathematically the single greatest cause. I mean, you have so many sources of toxins, and you have the oceans absorbing CO2. We put up 100 million tons of CO2 in the air a day. That's being absorbed, but the biggest wrench in the works of all is climate engineering still. So as these dead zones increase, the biosphere is collapsing right now. I mean, we have marine die-off all along the coasts, massive die-off. We have fishing fleets coming in with nothing, virtually nothing in many cases. Our reality is not going to continue much longer, and that's where I implore people, don't shove your head in the sand and pretend it's all going to go away. It's not going to go away. And in fact, if we don't face it soon, we're going to have nothing left to salvage. I mean, we're heading towards certain extinction on this path, near-term extinction, not long-term. So doesn't it make sense to turn off American Idol, turn the football game off, forget the golf game, and join us in the effort to bring this issue to light and to a halt while Earth still has some life support mechanisms left? And the geoengineers, again, people are heavily invested in these programs. They're not going to stop until the public knows, and also as the public knows, again, what matters is that then people in the military and their families will know. And I believe at that point, the power structure at the top will no longer be able to carry out these programs because people involved will refuse to participate. We're banking on that, and I believe there's a lot of good men and women in the military that will refuse to participate once they know they're poisoning their own kids, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, and people are going to have to start accepting what's going on when they see these effects of our environment. Like, I believe is it up in Redding where the trees have no bark on them? I mean,
it's not just in Redding. This is happening all the way into Alaska. Again, the ozone layer is being torn apart. I challenge people, Google, geoengineering is destroying the ozone layer. Investigate. So you have northern and southern hemisphere ozone holes that are getting worse by the day. These ozone holes are not the result of CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. That is a factor, but a small factor compared to geoengineering. So we've had this elephant in the room, in our skies in this case, for 6 decades while people have been totally oblivious. And I think, guys, I mean, a lot of people, their head will have to start on fire before they actually realize something's wrong. But we're in free fall right now. Again, they're tearing out orchards all along I-5 in places because they're dead. They're done. And when the food's not there and there's nothing on the shelf, we're going to have law of the jungle, and that's coming. I mean, the federal government is absolutely preparing for that collapse, and they're fueling it because, again, they've cut off our moisture. How long can we last? How long can we last when they literally control whether we have water or not? And they do. So this is a fight for life, nothing less.
Wow, Dane, I agree with you. We're trying to raise the public awareness here. I want to let you know that we appreciate your website, geoengineeringwatch.org, for being commercial free. and the great knowledge that you're bringing to the world. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the climate change, global warming, carbon dioxide ties into all this? Because they've continually sold us the idea that we need to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions to mitigate climate change now, since they've changed it from global warming. Can you explain a little bit how the geoengineering ties into all that?
Well, it's all connected, of course, because these climate systems are all connected. And this is where people, a lot of people in this equation think dichotomously. They think it's either this or that, and it's many things. So is carbon a problem? Yes. Is geoengineering a bigger problem? Yes. And when you start interlocking all these things, it's a total cataclysm. So again, anybody who thinks that putting 100 million tons of CO2 in the atmosphere every single day is not a problem, they're wrong. Quite simply, they're dead wrong. And was Al Gore's data wrong? Yes, but it was wrong in the opposite direction of what people think. It was far short of how bad things are. It's way worse. I don't like Al Gore. Al Gore's an easy guy not to like. He's a complete hypocrite. But the bottom line is there's a lot of things tearing the climate apart, but when the Earth can't respond, the Earth has responded before in previous paleo events. We know the Pliocene epoch, 5.2 million years ago, you had a lush western U.S. with carbon counts that were 25% higher than they are today because it rained more. It has to rain more when there's more carbon because the atmosphere is warmer. 7% more moisture is carried for every degree of warming. But why is it not doing that now? It's not doing that now because the atmosphere is full of aerosols which block direct sunlight, which reduces evaporation, which diminishes rainfall. These guys are completely blocking the planet's attempt to respond. Think about this, guys. When's the last time we heard about a hurricane? The hurricane season almost doesn't exist anymore, right? Not for us. I mean, you guys wonder about that we had, a total annihilation of hurricanes 2005, 2006. Then the only hurricane that happened since is Hurricane Sandy, which took a completely unprecedented 90-degree westerly turn, and they knew that somehow 7 days ahead of time. How the hell did they know that?
Yeah,
Because
right before the election, too. Right before the election.
They steered it there, exactly. So that was a shot across people's bow, and that was a demonstration of what they can do. Hurricane Azelle that just went directly toward Hawaii, but suddenly and very miraculously disintegrated right before it hit the island, another demonstration of their power. This just happened. Anytime I think anybody behind the scenes tries to push back, maybe a governor from one of these states, they give a demonstration of power. But beyond that, think about the fact that these hurricanes don't hit the U.S. anymore. It just doesn't happen because they're steering them all out off the Atlantic, and they use them as water pumps. In fact, Hurricane Cristobal right now is heading up the eastern seaboard, and it's miraculously not going to strengthen until it gets north into colder waters. Now, since when do hurricanes strengthen over colder waters? So they're using it as a pump, as a moisture pump, to pump moisture in the atmosphere. They're pushing that moisture with a jet stream up toward the Arctic, where they're ice nucleating it, trying to keep some ice remaining in the Arctic to try to cap the methane. It's insanity on top of insanity. And now there's so much methane in the atmosphere that they're using HAARP, the ionosphere heaters, these extremely high-powered, 3 billion watts in the case of HAARP. They transmit in the atmosphere, causes an electrical chain reaction. They're using opposing massively powerful radio frequency transmitters to try to degrade methane in the atmosphere in an experiment that's completely with unknown consequences. They just keep doubling down again and again and again.
Yeah, and the mainstream media continues to push the climate change agenda, but they're pushing it on the fact that it's all caused by, human action and humans breathing and the carbon tax. But really, it's actually a lot worse than what they're actually saying because they're actually engineering this and they're just covering it up. The media is not talking about all the spraying that's actually doing terrible damage, and it's actually engineered. It's not just because we're alive and there's too many people and we need to lower our carbon footprint. It's actually engineered, and it's a lot worse, and it's doing a lot more damage than what we're even told, right?
Correct. And again, we have examples of that kind of thinking that I always have referred to the Gulf of Mexico oil spill, the fact that they use Corexit to hide that problem. And Corexit, according to some environmental impact reviews, made that situation over 50 times more toxic. But they don't care because the goal is to hide it. And right now, there's a huge circulation in the Gulf of Mexico that absolutely should develop in a hurricane, but it won't. They will not let it develop into a hurricane because it would stir up the sea of oil at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico right now. So they'll let it spin up some moisture, but they will not let it develop. And so this is the kind of thinking we have, just whatever it takes to hide the problem, obscure, confuse people as long as possible. And it does confuse people when, even though we're frying here in California, people in the East, they are absolutely convinced that the planet's getting colder, and that's complete nonsense. I mean, the eastern U.S. is it's 1/200th of the Earth's surface area, 1/200th, 1/2 of 1%, and they are engineering that cold because those people there are now completely confused about the climate. That's the goal. It makes it look like geoengineering is working when the rest of the planet's in meltdown. So, bottom line is to elaborate what you said. There is no legitimate discussion about the climate unless you first and foremost talk about climate engineering. So at this point, the entire climate science community is having illegitimate discussions about the climate because they're not talking about climate engineering first.
Wow, Dane, the level of cover-up going on is otherworldly. I guess this will go down in the history books if we make it that long. But you're not for the carbon tax, right? I mean, you don't think that by taxing carbon that's somehow going to stop climate change, do you?
No, I'm not. I'm not for the carbon tax. I'm not for Al Gore, not at all. But again, it doesn't mean that the amount of carbon pollution we produce is not a problem. It's a problem, but carbon tax is not a solution. And the bottom line is a lot of things have to change, starting with stopping geoengineering. And so, and with these people, a lot of people that are listening wonder, well, why would all these climate scientists be quiet? Because their jobs depend on them being quiet. Because perhaps some at the higher levels have been threatened. In fact, I'll be posting tomorrow an article that outlines specific climate scientists who have been physically threatened if they disclose certain things. So that's how the game works, and everybody knows everybody's surveilled. So the bottom line is you have a whole modern civilization marching off the end of the plank with everybody remaining silent because they're worried about their jobs, or perhaps some have been threatened. But I tell you what, we're all going down. The ship is going down. We're all ankle deep in water right now. The water's already coming over the deck. People have to take this torch up and carry it. It's up to all of us to raise enough awareness so that a lot of these climate scientists get to a point where they feel they're going to come out of the shadows. If we can raise awareness to that level, we'll blow this thing wide open.
I agree. You have to raise their awareness and let people know that this is going on in order for them to feel safe and coming out and having people back them and protect them, because I know it is tough. That's why a lot of whistleblowers, end up either getting killed or going to another country. It's terrible, and we need to wake up as a society that we are under attack, not in every way. I mean, and geoengineering is probably one of the most important issues, if not the most important way we are actually being manipulated and attacked. But then you add in all the inflation, the wars, the government bureaucracy, regulation. It's just destroying. It's just throw that on top of the fact that we're being sprayed every day. I mean, we are under attack.
As far as what's prioritized or what should be prioritized, that's a good point you bring up. People need to understand this, and if they research, they'll find what I'm saying is not alarmism, it's fact. We're faced now with a fight for life, period. When people talk about jobs, retirement, none of that's going to happen. It's not going to happen the way people thought, the way they wanted. The whole stock market is a complete facade. It's completely propped up. In fact, everything the power structure is doing right now is to try to create the impression of normalcy until the last possible moment, at which time things will collapse. And anybody who doubts that simply has not done any objective research. What the hell do you do when there's no fish in the ocean? When the plankton global stocks are down 50 to 60%, no plankton, no life on Earth. The ozone layer is completely ripped to shreds. No ozone layer, no life on Earth. You start stacking these things on top of each other, it's a damn grim situation. So right now, we need people to prioritize, to get off the bench, to not say, gee, there's nothing I can do. They need to get up, get active, help us sound the alarm. The single greatest leap we could take in the right direction is to expose climate engineering, which would expose a hell of a lot of other things with it. once people know they've been sprayed like rats, and that's what their government does because their government doesn't give a damn about them, then perhaps they'll join us in this fight. Short of nuclear catastrophe, climate engineering is the greatest and most immediate threat, period.
Wow, Dane, I have followed you, what you've been doing since our last interview. Even before that, I'm a big fan of your work for bringing this dire situation to the public's attention. And can you tell us what has happened in Shasta County there at the Board of Supervisors? Because I think what you did there was groundbreaking. Can you explain a little bit about it to our audience, about how you've got the community up in Shasta County involved?
The reason we got anything done is because we packed the building. We had 500 people there at one point. It was acknowledged by the chair of the supervisors. It's the greatest turnout on any subject ever in the modern facility's 10-year history. So they knew there was no shirking this issue any longer. Now, we also produced a panel of 10 experts, including former fish and game biologists, former Forest Service biologists, former military meteorologists, several pilots, physicians, former defense industry, Union of Concerned Scientists. We had quite a panel of experts, and people can Google this and watch this presentation. Now, they committed to sending out a copy of this event to numerous state and federal agencies. We do not know that they've done that yet, and we're forcing that issue right now. And people in Redding area are absolutely at the end of their rope with this issue. In fact, we had a meeting with Congressman Doug LaMalfa last Monday in a town hall type setting, and about 200 people in the room. And I asked LaMalfa, I met with LaMalfa, actually Congressman LaMalfa, the week before. He's a U.S. congressman. And I brought this issue up. I used the science terms, SRM, SAG. He immediately tried to use the chemtrail term, which they're trained to do because that then marginalizes the issue and the media takes that and runs with it. But I held him to the science terms. He asked me to produce any testing, which I did in the following week, which was last Monday. I presented to him testing from California EPA proving that there is aluminum contamination in our waterways. I produced 26 lab tests proving that there's aluminum in our rain. So now the burden's on this congressman also, which I doubt he'll do anything either. But the community is watching all this. This will be put out on YouTube pretty quick. So the bottom line is we have a film record of these public officials who are not doing their job. And once the public finds out that this is going on and they've been contaminated and Junior's autism and Granny's Alzheimer's came from these programs, how happy do you think they're going to be with these officials who did nothing?
It's mind-blowing to me, Dane, because last week here in Stewart, we didn't have any experts. We just had activists and people that are aware of the spraying going on. We went to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control Board meeting. They have a monthly meeting here, and I posted some videos about everybody's little 3-minute public comment, and it was mind control, I guess is the best way to describe it, because they have these little buzzers that go off. I don't know if it's the same in the meetings you've been to, but it's the same as Pavlovian operant conditioning that they use on dogs is how they have these people trained, and we're up there trying to comment to the board, and they're ignoring us, laughing, chewing bubble gum like it's a big joke, and we're telling them that, or I actually asked them how to go about, to advise me about how to go about investigating this matter, and they just pretty much shined me on like I'm some chump, and it was very insulting to me. And then so I asked them, how do I get an item on your agenda so we can talk about this matter further? And they would not answer the question about how I simply get an item on their agenda to address this issue. So it's total stonewall, and they're using this Delphi technique, and like I said, the dog whistle type of thing. Have you experienced that dealing with the bureaucracy?
Well, what you do first is you have to produce your army. You know, don't go back until you have that room packed. So you need to go to teachers, parent-teachers groups, any Alzheimer's groups, autism, fishing groups, ag groups. You need to get everybody up to speed so that you absolutely saturate that building with bodies, with people that are saying no is not going to work for us. To ignore this issue is not okay. We don't accept that. We want a public record of you denying this if you do, and you'll be held accountable. When this is out in the open, there's a whole lot of people that are going to have a whole lot of explaining to do to a public that has pitchforks and torches and are absolutely livid. So, raise your army and go back. A peaceful army, but go back. Go back with a room full of people that says, no, it's not okay for you to ignore this issue. Okay?
I agree. And the public will live under the tyranny that they will put up with. And we need to continue to raise public awareness about this issue, because I think, looking at some of the information and watching some of your presentations, it's scary to think about what, if we don't reverse this, life on this planet may cease to exist. Folks, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back for the last part of our interview with Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org after a word from our sponsors.
Natural disaster, EMP attack, and martial law are a real possibility. Prepare before the crisis, because FEMA can't and won't keep you safe. Tops Military Supply. Veterans serving veterans, their families, and the community. Visit us at 605 West Shaw, Suite A, Clovis, California, or call us at 559-298-6001.
Listen up, Fresno. Are you tired of boring local news coverage? Then log on to FresnoForward.com, the Central Valley's #1 source for independent, local, and alternative news and views. FresnoForward.com is updated daily, bringing you stories on government corruption, local activism, Fresno culture, and so much more. Did I mention FresnoForward.com has no ads or signups required? FresnoForward.com. You'll love it.
Do you love supporting local businesses? Do you want to help them succeed? So do we. The Thrifty Nickel Want Ads is a family-owned business that has been a big part of the local community for over 30 years. Our goal is not only to produce a paper that is not only successful, but enduring. We are looking for experienced outside sales representatives to help grow and expand the Central Valley's favorite classified paper, while creating successful marketing campaigns that will increase business for their clients. If you care about better working relationships with local businesses, then we want to hear from you. 50% commission of every new contract acquired. If interested, contact Art at thriftynickelwantads.com or call 559-472-7182.
Folks, we're back. I am your host, Stuart Webb, along with my co-host, Sam Chaney. This is We Are Change Fresno on 1680 AM. We are joined by our guests for our last segment of the show, Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org. Dane, in one of your presentations, you showed something that troubled me greatly, is that the cartoon movies that our kids are watching now have chemtrails in the sky to condition the kids to think that that's normal. And to me, that is an absolute it's so immoral, and it needs to be addressed, because that is mind control and conditioning directly on the children, teaching them that it's normal to have planes go over and just spray us with chemicals.
There's actually programs from NASA, this is how insidious it gets, to teach kids that what they see in the sky is perfectly harmless for them. We're talking about people that have no honor at all. They're absolutely, for lack of a better term, I don't use the word much, but they're evil. I mean, this is insidious beyond belief, and these people need to be held accountable in a court of law. And we're heading for absolute cataclysm on planet Earth. In fact, the methane situation right now is being referred to by the frontline by the Arctic scientists as an unfolding global cataclysm. That's exactly what's happening right now. Geoengineering is fueling the fire, not mitigating it. And on top of this, Sam, Stuart, at any point in time, we know biological testing has gone on by the U.S. government and others. We know this. It's a historical fact. There's 24 different instances already publicized of the U.S. experimenting on innocent populations. That we have tests already from institutions like the Carnicom Institute that indicate engineered pathogens are being detected in some of the air sampling. At any point in time, if they change the mix, if the population wakes up too much, it's game over. I mean, that sounds astounding to people, but why would we think that this might not go on when we know it has gone on already in the past? So from every angle, from every direction, climate engineering, this is the noose around all of our necks that if we don't deal with it, we have no chance. That's what the data says, period. If we stay on this exact course, aside from them perhaps putting some pathogen in the mix, aside from that, just doing what we know they're doing right now, if we stay on this course, it's game over. It's that simple, and it's not centuries out. It's not decades. We're talking about mathematically right now on this exact course. If nothing else enters the picture, we're talking about a planet that won't support life much longer at all. So, and we see this happening. It's not like we're guessing. We have fish die-off all over the globe. We have animal die-off all over the globe. The species extinction rate, which I mentioned. People simply must decide why they're here and what matters in life. If they love their children, if they want any future for those children, they have to join us in this battle. And if we could get this to light, other issues would come to light. Perhaps, then the real investigation might be done about 9/11, and people might start to wonder that buildings don't fall down. In the case of Building 7, this is such a great example of what people will buy for a lie. Building 7, 50-story steel high-rise, as you guys well know, fell down at free fall speed because of some chairs and couches burning in the first story, and the American population believes that. So, look, I'm saying that the amount of lies we've been fed is beyond belief. But right now, if we could get this one issue to light, it would put a shockwave around the globe, and we have to. There's no choice. We have to win this battle.
Wow, Dane, yeah, we need real men like you. And I want to say I appreciate all your work again, because you've inspired us here in Fresno to try to rally our peaceful army of activists. I don't know where we're going to find the experts, but we'll do our best to find them. In the last part of the show, can you talk a little bit about the global dimming? Because that's another part of this spraying that we haven't even touched on, and that's very important too, isn't it?
Yes, and people can Google these terms. Again, they can learn a lot more if they just Google the terms. Right now, global dimming is estimated between 20 and 25%. That means this is the express goal of climate engineering, by the way, to dim the sun, but with cataclysmic effects. But that means 20 to 25% of the sun's direct rays no longer reach the surface of the planet as compared to 5 decades ago. This is now. So our atmosphere is absolutely filled with toxic metal and chemical particulates, light-scattering particulates, that are poisoning the entire planet. I mean, this is not alarmism. It's not exaggeration. That's literally what's happening. So, so many aspects people are unaware of, but the bottom line is putting their heads in the sand, again, will not save them. Only by everybody getting off the bench, getting in the fight, and helping us bring this issue to light do we have any chance. And I say that with absolute certainty, mathematical, science-backed certainty.
Wow, it's scary. And I've been reading, like I said about earlier in the show, about reading some of their scientific papers, and they just come out and say it, is it ethical? And they try to have a rational argument about it. I was reading one of them talking about how we need to genetically engineer humans to be smaller so we can have a smaller carbon footprint. And they continue to sell us the idea of anthropogenic global warming, that it's the people's fault when they're the ones committing atrocities that are unimaginable against humanity using these weather warfare weapons. It's just it's too much for most people to comprehend, I think, Dane.
It is, but this is what people need to remember. They will face this reality either well or poorly. But face it one way or the other, they will. They have no choice. Everybody's going to face what's coming. So why not face it with courage, join the fight, and again, in regard to the anthropogenic damage to the planet, that is very real. I want to stress that. We have damaged the planet in so many ways, but climate engineering is the epitome of that damage. So again, it's not a this or that. It's all the above, but the climate engineering is the aspect that is the most cataclysmic right now, the most destructive of all. We must expose that, and then that would bring so many other lies out in the open with it, guys.
Yeah, and you can tell that they're now starting to warm up to the word geoengineering since they've finally sort of been exposed. It's almost like the Bilderberg Group. They're finally issuing press releases because the public and investigative reporters and people that do work like you are actually just shining light on the fact that these people exist and this is what they're doing to us. And so I think what they're going to try to sell us, and what they're trying right now to sell us, is that, well, we can actually, yes, geoengineering does exist only when we want to tell you about it. And then also we're going to use geoengineering to fix the problems that we actually created in the first place. They create the problem and then they play the savior. And that's where I think that people just can't wrap their head around it. And like you said, it's not alarmism. It's just the reality. We have to accept this reality one way or another. And the elite that are actually doing this, they know that the public, it can't stay invisible forever. I mean, we're going to see, like we're already seeing, fish die, trees die, and not to mention all the Fukushima radiation. Hasn't even really been addressed much, and it should be. But then you add the geoengineering into that. It's just we're gonna see in the next couple of years, we're gonna see massive changes. People with health problems, people are gonna have cancer at a massive are getting cancer at a massive rate, an increased rate. In the next 10 years, who knows? Maybe 50% of the population will have health problems that are serious that they will die from. You know, like cancer. I mean, we're eventually gonna have to face it, like you said.
Well, you know, that brings us to the issue. Again, for people, educate yourselves. Don't run out in the street, rant, and point at the sky. Have something credible to pass on to others. Learn a little bit about the issue so you know somewhat of what you're talking about, and help us to sound the alarm. We need absolutely everybody to help sound the alarm. And once you start a spot fire of awareness, as people see other things happening around them that concur with this data, they'll wake up. Just keep starting spot fires. All of us need to do this.
Yeah, and the drought, you see all these politicians in California begging the federal government to do something, and they don't talk about geoengineering. They just say, "Government, please help us." I mean, is that can't be a solution? They don't even address the real problem of what's going on. You know.
I agree, and the bottom line is no other type of mitigation will matter as long as these programs are going on. It won't matter. They can shut our rain off as long as they want. Building dams. This is part of my address with the congressman who's talking about building dams and this and that. What good does it do if the rain's not falling and if they can keep it from falling indefinitely? Dams aren't the cure. We need these programs to stop. So people they need to look at this issue from bottom to top. We put data on our site. No commercials, no advertisement, no politics, just data. So I hope people do some investigation.
Dane, can we get back to who is spraying us? And I know that we talked about this in our last interview, and we continue to pound on the issue on this show and with our activism about that it's the Federal Reserve, the people that are behind the central banking system. And so could you explain a little bit about who is actually financing this operation?
All of it leads back to the central banks, always, because our whole world is a facade. With printed Fed fiat money holding up the stock market, funding everything, keeping highway projects going that don't need to be done just to keep the wheels turning, funding anything in the military they want to fund, all roads lead back to the central banks, period. So you have all the NATO countries involved. You actually have China and Russia involved at some level, but it looks like Russia's having second thoughts, and they actually want this issue brought out in the open. I mean, there's strong indications of that, so that's good. But in the meantime, the Western power cabal is absolutely a band of clinically insane rulers and leaders.
Well, I hope that the NSA that's listening to our phone call right now and will be listening to our broadcast takes some of this to heed. Yeah. And if you care anything about yourself, your children's future generations on this planet, take this issue to heed and make changes. And the paycheck, like we've been saying, like Dane's been saying, the paycheck, the job, none of it is going to matter very soon. We need the men in this country to step up and be men.
Yeah, and Dane, you're definitely going to be a problem and have been a problem for the establishment because you're smart, you're well-spoken, you're eloquent, and you're good-looking, and you're a real man. You're willing to stand up and talk about real issues, what's really going on, and we need more people to be like you. And to just say, you know what, we're done with it. I care about my children and grandchildren's future.
Well, that's how simple it is, and all of us matter in this equation. All of us are important. All of us can make a difference if we simply try. And again, as people educate themselves, you know, we're all just doing what any loving, caring parent would do to try to protect their children. That's all I'm doing. I mean, I'm not an activist. I've never been in my life. I'm not politically oriented, but simply how do I look my children in the eyes and not do this? So that's what we're all doing, and I salute you guys in the same manner, and every single one of us matters in this fight, all of us. We just simply need to apply ourselves every single day, try to move the ball forward, try to start a spot fire of awareness. And a mathematical equation I use, guys, is if you if one person successfully conveyed the message to 2 at the beginning of a 30-day month, and those 2 to 2 each the second day, and so on through the month, that tallies up to 5.5 million. Now, people might question my math. I challenge them to do that equation. So we can exponentially raise awareness if we simply try and make it our goal to move the ball forward every single day.
Well, like you said, in the interest of self-preservation, we have to take a stand, and we have to start investigating this and bringing light to the subject, because if we don't, there may not be life on this planet. Dane, we really appreciate you coming on our show. We're going to finish up here. Anything else you want to plug or talk about for the last minute?
No, I appreciate you guys helping to sound the alarm, and we'll keep trying to post data as fast as we can so people can stay up to speed on the situation, and let's all keep pulling together, guys.
Do you have any suggestions about how we can, or do you know anyone in the Fresno area that we can call on as an expert?
I don't know anybody in that area, but again, what I would encourage people to do is to use DVDs as the teaching tool, organize viewings, for example. And you guys, give me your address again. I'll mail you a new copy of a commercial DVD we have that has the 57-minute Shasta County edited version and 2 very important PowerPoints, engineered drought catastrophe and climate engineering, weather warfare, and the collapse of civilization. All that's on one DVD. So, send me your address. I'll mail you a few, circulate them, copy them. You can copy them as much as you want and keep spreading that around, and everybody will become a bit of an expert at that point, So that's one tool you can use, and happy to send you some of those.
We appreciate that. I'll send you my address in the email. And another key point that I want people to understand is we have to use the scientific terms, so they can't simply dismiss us as saying chemtrail conspiracy theory. We have to use the scientific terms, correct, Dane?
Yes. Very important. Semantics matter. Use the term climate engineering is very clear to people. Even people who don't know what you're talking about at least know what that issue is to some degree. Climate engineering or geoengineering. If you Google that, you find science. And that's what we need to do, stand on the scientific term so we can't be marginalized.
All right, that's about all we have time for, Dane. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Too.
Have a great night.
Have a great one. Folks, that's Dane Wigington of geoengineering.org. Please check out his work. It needs to be taken seriously. We see it happening. It can't be denied. Wake up, take action. Thanks for our sponsors supporting our show, and thanks for our listeners supporting the show.
This show is sponsored by We Are Change Fresno.